Hello there. So, while we were forced to sit on our hands and wait for Eurocrat permission, the bankers took the UK to the cleaners. Firstly, please subscribe and like this video to give my channel a boost, and I'm always uploading new content, so please do check back daily. Do you remember Black Wednesday, the day that George Soros and others made billions by taking the UK to the cleaners over the European exchange rate mechanism? Well, it's just been revealed by Ken Clarke that it was the delay getting other member states permission to leave the ERM that cost us so dear on the day. But it also turns out that an obscure German central bank letter was also a dominant factor in our losses. The day was Wednesday the 16th of September 1992, when the UK was eventually forced to withdraw the pound sterling from the European Exchange Rate Mechanism, or ERM. The ERM itself was set up in 1979 as a prelude to the euro to stabilise exchange rates between member states, but the UK did not join it right at the start. But we did sign up to it in October 1990, right at the end of Margaret Thatcher's reign as Prime Minister, and that effectively gave a guarantee that the UK would follow economic and monetary policies that ensured that sterling would not fluctuate more than 6% away from the other member state currencies. Anyway, that did not come to pass, as affairs both within what was then the EEC and internationally caused the pound to start depreciating after John Major took over in number 10. But because the UK now had a hard lower limit compared to other currencies, the John Major government was forced to prop the pound up. But George Soros had seen this coming, and believing, like many others, that sterling went into the ERM at too high a value, he had been building up large, short positions on sterling and was set to make a fortune if sterling fell below the ERM floor. Interest rates went to 10%, and billions of pounds worth of foreign currency reserves were sold by the UK to buy sterling to keep its price up. Then Soros began selling off the pound on the 15th of September. And when the markets opened on the 16th of September, the Bank of England, which was keen to buy sterling to keep the price above the ERM floor, had already accepted £600 million worth, and it wasn't even 8:30 a.m. And the Chancellor Norman Lamont was forced to report to the Prime Minister that it hadn't affected the markets at all. Sterling was in free fall. By 10:30, the UK bank rate was set at 12% to try and stem the flow, and shortly thereafter it went up to 15%. And at 7 p.m, Norman Lamont had announced that we had left the ERM. It transpires that at one stage we were selling foreign currency reserves at the rate of £2 billion worth an hour. It is estimated that this little episode cost the UK in excess of £3 billion, and that George Soros himself made a cool billion out of it. Although other estimates put it at a lot higher. But speaking to Kirsty Walk on the Reunion programme on Radio 4 with 4 experts who had been around at the time, Ken Clarke said that the UK was forced to sit and sweat for hours while it formally asked its other EEC partners for permission to leave the ERM, during which time the pound was a sitting duck. We had to send a Treasury official called Nigel Wicks off to a meeting that had to be called that evening in Brussels, where we had to get the agreement of the other countries, Clarke said. So we sat there powerless for several hours while Nigel went off to this totally ritual meeting, and we just hoped the Bank of England wasn't losing too much money out of the reserves whilst this delay went by. It was obvious we had no control over it and had been buffeted by events. Now, Ken Clarke seems to be saying that this EU meeting and gaining permission needn't have been gone through, except for Foreign Office lawyers pressing the point. But for me, it shows just what happens when a country gets too used to having its rules made elsewhere. And remember, this was the year before the cloying European Union itself was formed. Now, the sharp-eyed of you will have caught that if sterling had fallen, as well as other currencies I will add, then surely the currencies at the top, well, the currency, the German mark, should, under the rules, have devalued its currency to follow the others down. Well, it turns out there was an opt-out for the Germans in a thing called the Emminger letter that allowed them to not buy the weaker currencies, therefore leaving the weaker currencies to suffer. Otherwise, the Germans would surely have been forced to help the other member states' currencies by keeping the mark within the ERM boundary. I presume this letter was something to do with German economist and former president of the Bundesbank, Dr. Ottmar Emminger, who died in 1986. So it may be he that we have to thank for keeping us firmly out of the euro. And backing that up, a report from MarketWatch.com from 2013 reports that the Emminger letter forms one of the more obscure parts of the history of the German Bundesbank, the country's vaunted central bank. It is also one of the most chillingly controversial. And in the hardline negotiations over the latest Cyprus bailout package, 35 years after it was written, it has just made a singular re-entry. The document, drawn up in secret in 1978, gave the German central bank the power to sidestep formal obligations to support weaker countries via foreign exchange intervention during European currency turmoil. Ottmar Emminger was one of the most influential figures rebuilding German post-war central banking from the 1950s. But Italy also suffered during the ERM crisis, having been forced out a day later than us, and they still went on to join the euro. No power, and a secret German document. Now, I do have to wonder if Ken Clarke would have been so ready to talk about this had we not already have left the EU. And I wonder what other costs the EU and EEC have imposed on us that both former and current senior government ministers haven't come clean about. I don't suppose we'll ever know the full extent of the economic and cultural damage that Brussels has inflicted on us. But I do hope that hindsight does help us to use this as a historical warning about handing power to an external authoritarian force, and as the EU flag begins to disappear in our rearview mirror, we will hopefully have time to reflect upon the disaster of the past 40-odd years. Anyway, if you want to hear more from me, please don't forget to subscribe and also press that little bell, or you won't get any notifications. And if you want to see more of me, buy a mug with my mug on it by following the merchandise link in the descriptions box below. So what do you think about all of this? Please share and comment, and thank you for watching.